Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I want to talk about the books that I recently DNF'd, and I also want to talk a little bit about the books that I am currently in the middle of. So basically, I had a pretty weird reading month in the second part of July because I kept just DNFing books one after the other. I think I DNF'd about 4. I have 3 of those here, and one I think I took back to the library, but I'm also gonna mention that. And I just don't know what happened. I was just not in the mood for these, or maybe they just weren't the books for me. I don't know. But let's start with the 2 that I was most disappointed of. And these 2 you will have seen me mention in my last video, in which I talk about 5 books to read in July, because I wanted to read these books for Jane Austen in July, and they were just not for me. So I'm going to start with this one because I think this was one that disappointed me most. After reading about 50 pages, I just could not continue because I found the way it depicted this older main character too cliche. So basically, this is Miss Austen, and in this one we follow Cassandra when she's older, and Cassandra was the sister of Jane Austen. So in this one, she goes back to visit some relatives to find and destroy Jane Austen's letters, which were sent to that household, and they were being kept somewhere. She doesn't know where, so she just goes to find them so she can destroy them, because she doesn't want these letters to reflect negatively on Jane Austen and her legacy. I'd also looked on Goodreads to see if some people maybe have the same opinion, and I didn't read a lot, but I basically found some reviews where people said that, yeah, you just need to get over the first 50-page mark, and then you will really get into the thick of it. And I just couldn't be bothered. I think after seeing all those cliches in the beginning, it was just too much for me. And I was really sad because I wanted to read some Jane Austen related book in Jane Austen July, but it wasn't meant to be. And then I DNF'd the second book I picked up for Jane Austen July. And actually I read most of this. This has like 430 pages. 430 pages. And I think I had like 100 pages left. And I just completely lost interest. So this is a young adult romance / mystery. And I think that is the problem, that it wants to do both romance and mystery, and it doesn't really succeed. The mystery part is pretty much ignored by these characters, and then they really put themselves in dangerous situations because of this. And the romance part was basically a love triangle, and I just did not enjoy it. Maybe I'll read, before I have to take it back to the library, maybe I'll read the last chapter to see what happened. But basically, I couldn't care less. So I read a large chunk of it one day, and while I was reading, I was into it. But when I put it down, I just completely lost interest. And I decided, 100 pages or not, this is not worth my time. Yeah, that's the way it is. And then the next one I DNF'd, and I think maybe this one is one that I will maybe get back to at some point. And it is The Story of a Goat by Perumal Murugan. And this is written by an Indian author, and it is the story of this goat. Hello, is the title. But this goat who ends up in the household of this older couple, and it follows this goat while growing up, its relationship with the other goats within this household, and how this goat is viewed as an outsider, not accepted. But it also views this household and this older couple's relationship and to other people within the community, but also their role within society and societal expectations. And it's like a modern fabulist tale set in rural India, but I'm not sure that such a fabulist tale was something I was really in the mood to read, especially after these DNFs. And looking at my Goodreads DNF shelf, I have DNF'd not just these 3, but 2 more. So I DNF'd a total of 5 books in July, which is insane. I normally DNF 1 every other month or so, every 3 months. Wow. it's a lot even for me. But the next one I DNF'd was Friend, a novel from North Korea by Paek Nam-yong. I picked this up for the Invisible Cities project for North Korea, and I was really excited because this is like advertised as the first fiction novel from North Korea sanctioned to be published in English by the North Korean government. And I was like really a bit skeptical, but also curious as to see whether this is like a genuine novel or this is something written to promote and make us accept a little bit their inhuman regime. And I just could not... I wasn't really... It was weird to be in that setting and read from those people's perspective, knowing where they come from. But I guess that was the point of the book in some way. But I found the prose of this really unnatural and really stiff. And it was just almost like, I just don't know, I really didn't gel with the writing style at all. And I just could not be bothered to continue reading this, even though it has some good reviews on Goodreads, but it's just not for me. I think also looking at this book as the tool of the North Korean regime, it just really doesn't really sit with me so well. But it was mostly the writing style. I was willing to give it a shot, just knowing what this book's background is. But the writing style was what made me just DNF it. And then the last one I DNF'd was The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. Again, I just lost interest. It's a young adult fantasy with its, I guess, what you could expect from a young adult fantasy, but it was just not something that was grabbing my interest, especially because I think I was reading it at the same time as I read The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, and you can't really compare it, and you shouldn't, because this one is for young adults and the other one is for adults. But I think I just realized that this generic young adult fantasy is just not for me. So these are the 5 books I DNF'd, and oh my god, it was a lot. So let me get into the books that I'm currently in the middle of. So I am currently in the middle of An Unnecessary Woman by Rabih Alameddin, and this is told from the perspective of an older woman. I think she's like 74 or something like that, and it is set in Beirut in Lebanon. And it is the story of her life. It's really intermixed a lot with references to the books she has read and the poetry she has read and the music she's listening to. So this is a book with heavy focus on that, and I'm not sure that that is my favorite part in it, but I really enjoy her as a character, and I really enjoy the way this is written, basically. And then I just started My Past is a Foreign Country by Zeba Talkani, and this is a non-fiction memoir, which is about this author's life growing up in Saudi Arabia. And I think now she's living in London. So I don't really know a lot about this, but I'm excited to get more into that. And then I'm also reading A Long Petal of the Sea by Isabel Allende. And I've been meaning to read one of her books for quite a while, and I just picked this up on a whim. And now that I picked it up, I see that a lot of people really enjoy this book. And again, I am conflicted because I'm listening to it on audiobook and it's just not... I mean, I like the story and the characters and the setting. It's a historical fiction which is set partly during the Spanish Revolution before the Second World War, and partly after that, while some of the characters emigrated to Chile. So it follows these characters, these families' lives throughout this period. And it's an interesting story with great characters, but I just feel like the prose and the way it's told, it's really not for me, because the prose is not an active prose. It's like someone telling us what happened to these people. So you feel so removed from them. there's not much dialogue, so there's not much present tense in this. I also checked some of the Goodreads reviews for this, and people say that even though Isabel Allende is their favorite writer, this was not their favorite book. Oh yeah, and I also started the second book in the Blade Itself trilogy. I'm not sure that it's called the Blade Itself, the trilogy. Let me check. It's the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. The Blade Itself being the first in the series. So now I'm listening to the second book in the series, which is Before They Are Hanged, and I'm really, really enjoying it. As I mentioned in my latest wrap-up, I really love this world because it's like a slow-paced fantasy and very, very character-focused, and it's just amazing to dive back into this world and meet these people again. So I guess this is gonna be it from me for today. I don't know what to think about all these books I DNF'd. Maybe I just have to try to pick up better books. Maybe I learned some lesson here, I don't know. But at the same time, I always feel like I want to try new things and I want to go back to some things I enjoyed in the past, and it doesn't always pan out, and I think this was a month for that. So let me know if you've also been DNFing books recently, which ones and why. But I guess this is where I will leave you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.